everyone, thanks so much for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just happened to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or following me on Instagram. All these things help me grow my channel like a plant. All right, everyone, we're gonna talk about something that I have been wanting to talk about for a while now, but then you all asked me to talk about it as well, so I just figured it was the perfect time to sit down. It's a rainy day. Look how cute and rainy it is. Look at that. We're just gonna sit down and talk about something that has been on my mind and I wanted to open a conversation about. So this thing that I wanna talk about today is plant parent burnout. In other words, feeling really overwhelmed or stressed out or just tired of plant care. You might even be wondering if you like houseplants anymore, which feels like a crime, but just hear me out and I'm gonna make you feel a little bit better. So plant parent burnout is kind of like a natural thing in my opinion. If you have any kind of hobby, odds are that you're gonna fall out and in love with it just forever. But even with that, let's just consider everything that just happened over the last year and a half. So many people got into houseplants over that span of time. Or if you're someone like me, you always liked houseplants, but you finally had the time and maybe some extra resources to drastically increase your houseplant collection. A lot of us, not all, but a lot of us had way more time and really wanted to invest ourselves into something just to keep ourselves busy. And I genuinely think that through this first houseplants trend burst, we all realized like how much houseplants can really offer us and how much we can lean on them. They truly just provided us all with a distraction, a routine, something that we could really immerse ourselves in. But with anything, of course, trends change, people change, and there will be a little bit of loss of interest in whatever this trend is. And in this case, I think it's houseplants. So that coupled with the fact that a lot of us, most of us, are kind of dealing with this weird limbo period of, you know, maybe going back to work or starting to do more things outside and losing that time for ourselves and our houseplants, it kind of like forces us to put houseplants a little bit down on our list of things to do and prioritize. We all kind of have a lot less time for and energy for houseplants. And that brings us to where I think a lot of us are, to different degrees maybe, but we all have very large houseplant collections that require a lot of time and energy that we previously might have had, but maybe we don't have so much anymore. So instead of us needing them to lean on, you know, now they are something that is overwhelming, something on a to-do list, and it kind of takes away from that magic that we previously felt with houseplants. And I am here to tell you that that is okay. I don't think I said anything groundbreaking. I think, you know, if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, and I think a lot of us are kind of reflecting on that. But I think it's important to talk about because I don't want anyone to feel super guilty about maybe feeling a little bit less connected with their houseplants lately. I know I have been, and I'm someone that's been into houseplants even before 2020. So I think that everyone is at risk of feeling that way. Whether you are someone so immersed in houseplants that you started a YouTube channel about it, or you just have maybe 10 houseplants. I think one of the biggest, I don't want to say problems, but things that we're facing as people really into houseplants is that it's so normal to want to step back from certain hobbies, especially if they really don't have anything to do with how you make money, and it's truly for your own joy and growth. A lot of us kind of step back from those hobbies sometimes, depending on our schedule, depending on how we're feeling. And that just doesn't work with houseplants. It's not like drawing or embroidery or something like that where you can kind of hit pause and return back to it. Maybe a little bit rusty, but return back to it. With houseplants, if you start to neglect or take a step back, your houseplants will decline and eventually die. So there's a lot more on the line, and houseplants is a hobby that you need to stay on top of even if you're not feeling 100% passionate about it. Houseplants need consistent and constant nurturing and attention and care and love, and it's not something that you can just circle back to. So basically, I did kind of want to give a little bit of an introduction and explanation of what plant parent burnout is, just so that we're talking about it honestly. Maybe this was helpful to someone, but I did just kind of want to spark that conversation. But to be actually helpful in today's video, I did want to provide a few tips for plant parent burnout, because this is personally not the first time that I have felt overwhelmed about my houseplant collection or needed to take a step back and kindle my love for them. So I just wanted to share a few tips, because this is a perfectly natural cycle with any hobby, as I've said like 3 times. And yeah, this is kind of what I do. The number one tip that I cannot recommend enough is to just rehome plants that you are no longer feeling as passionate about. This morning, actually, I just gave away 5 plants that it hurt to give them away. I listed them for free on Facebook Marketplace, and it hurts to get rid of them. Some of those plants I genuinely loved a lot, but they weren't doing super well in the move and acclimating into my new home. I didn't have perfect spots for them, and to be honest, they were starting to feel a little bit like a chore and less like I was really connected to those houseplants. And at first, I think I feel really guilty and bad when I feel like that towards a plant, especially if they have a little bit of sentimental value to me. But you kind of have to think of it as like, when you're rehoming those plants, you are choosing to not plant hoard just because you want them, and instead giving someone an opportunity to connect with that plant and really take care of it and learn about it. So the person that I gave my plants to this morning was so excited to get them because they were kind of getting into houseplants more, and they just wanted to experiment with a bunch of different kinds of houseplants and rehab. So I was able to provide a new opportunity and a new learning experience for someone just by rehoming my plants that I was no longer feeling super passionate about. Plus, an added bonus of that is that by decreasing the amount of plants in my home, I can now give the rest of my houseplants even more time and attention, and B, I think that I can handle the amount of plants that I had before, but this definitely opened up the opportunity for me to get new plants that I'm feeling super passionate about. Absolutely keep in mind that houseplant pests are a thing. I did not list any of my plants with pests. I am very much keeping on to those. I don't feel comfortable giving those away, but I'm sure if you really didn't want to handle your houseplants with pests anymore and you listed them and were super transparent about it, you might find someone that wanted to take it off your hands. But personally me, I don't want to think about giving someone pests. So I always make sure that I check any plant I give away, especially if it's not doing too well for pests. I confirm that it's good, and then I give those away, and I keep pesty plants in my home. Tip number 2 is a little bit corny, but just bear with me. And it's really to remind yourself why you got into houseplants in the first place. On a very surface level, a lot of us might think, oh, I just wanted to green up my space, or I needed a distraction during this time period. Instead of those more surface level thoughts, I challenge you, just like how I challenge myself sometimes, to think about it a little bit deeper. Houseplants have, while being inside for so long, have given me something to connect to, whether it's just the plants in my home or to feel a little bit more connected to the nature and earth outside, because I definitely needed some of that. They really reminded me to keep learning, to keep curiosity, to keep challenging myself, and also to give houseplants, give the houseplant knowledge that you have, all of that. I think that there's a lot of lessons to take out of the houseplant hobby and community for sure. So again, this might be a little bit sappy, a little bit cheesy, but I think that by allowing yourself to be a little bit selfish in your relationship with your houseplants, you might find a refreshed commitment to them. I think I like to keep a very houseplant first mentality where I'm very focused on what I am giving them because it feels like such a big thing to have nature in your home and to have the responsibility of a plant's life on you. But at the same time, I think it's okay to be a little bit selfish and acknowledge and cherish what they give back to you and what you get from that relationship, because I do think it is a bit grounding and will help you kind of connect to your plants more over time. Think about what you gain from your houseplant hobby on a little bit of a more emotional long-term level, because things like aesthetics change and, you know, the world and environment around us. So just thinking about more long-term impactful reasons of why you want to take care of houseplants can be really, really helpful in refocusing your hobby. And lastly, a very easy tip is to just not beat yourself up over it. Like, it happens. Plants might die, you might need to downsize, you might like be way in over your head with houseplant care. It is not a big deal. It is not the end of the world. You can just take the appropriate action steps to make your houseplant collection reflect what you can give them. If your plant collection is too big right now and that's what's stressing you out, you can downsize and make it what's suitable for your lifestyle right now. And then if down the road you feel like you can take on more houseplants, you can absolutely do that. Your collection will completely like ebb and flow with you, and that's all right. It's no worries at all. That's why we are here, I think, as a community to support each other through these shifting feelings towards our houseplants as well. The houseplant industry is not going anywhere. If you want to buy new plants down the line, they might even be cheaper. Who's to say? That's all I have on Planned Parent Burnout. It was a little bit rambly, for sure, but I just wanted to share what has been on my mind, because I think there are days where I even question how committed I am to this many plants, like around 100 plants, and if I'm doing as good of a job as I can be with them. I'm trying to make more honest content around houseplants where I'm not just sitting here saying everything is perfect all the time and I do perfect plant care. I want to be as transparent as possible, and that's why I've been making videos about bad habits and hard houseplants, because I think if we're too hard on ourselves through the entirety of our houseplant care and routine, we are totally gonna get sick of it, and it is way better to just be honest with yourself and your plants and kind of allow a little bit of a flowing relationship with them so that it's more of a long-term evolving hobby than something that you just pick up and then let die off, literally. Thank you all so much for sitting down and talking with me today. It was good to kind of talk about this stuff that's been in my head for a little while, so sorry if it was a little bit rambly, but I tried to articulate what I was feeling. Please talk to me down below about this. I am so curious to hear if you can relate in any way, if this was helpful, if you have any additional tips or insights or whatever. I am so interested to hear what our little community has to say about this. So please consider subscribing if you don't already and you want to see more. Oh my God, I'm stumbling. Please subscribe to my channel if you don't already and you want to see more planty content from me. Down below in the description box are a bunch of links and ways that you can support me and my channel if you want to. Some are free, some are not. I really appreciate you all watching this video specifically today. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!